Press the bloody button.
We have started. Welcome to a Podful of Saints, number 36 for the 2023-24 season. As slick and as professional as ever, as you will have noticed. With myself, David Tavener, and the man who pressed the buttons but doesn't press them at the right time, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dave. Thank you very much.
And Lee Wood, who enjoys the hiccups the rest of us make.
I make plenty of my own tabs. Don't worry about that, me old fruit. Good evening, boys. How are you all doing?
Marvellous. Nobody got me an Easter egg. Did we end up with egg on our faces? 1 point over the weekend from 2 games as we, St Albans City, successfully cemented our place outside the playoff positions in National League South. We start with a Good Friday game. Not much good about it from our point of view. 1-0 defeat, home to Braintree Town. We had a couple of chances early on. Dom Hutchinson and Jake Berger, both of them could have scored. Mitch got in a good position, got blocked. His follow-up, he went for a rugby conversion rather than go for the goal. But after that, did we really deserve much more than what we got?
Oh, I think so. From the Braintree game, I do, yes. I think there was a lot of endeavour on our part, but you bloody Braintree, I tell you what, I hate them. I just hate them. I despise them because they're good at what they do. It's not particularly, entertaining, but, they're bully boys at the back. They knew what they're doing. They're well organised. They're strong. They're physical. But I thought we were good for something out of the game. We peppered the goal. There was a lack of quality in our ranks, I think, and there were a few players who have fallen off the boil at the wrong time. But do you not think, though, fellas, that we created enough to at least get a point, and possibly with a few favourable ref decisions, it could have been all 3?
Jake?
Yeah, I think so. I thought we had reasonable chances, especially in the first half. We had a few sort of flashed into the area, didn't we? Shaun battled. He tried to get some shots away. But just the final third, I think, wasn't great. And also, I have to say, the goal we gave them, it was a mistake at the back, wasn't it? It was poor defensively. Joe Parkinson, not his finest moment, even though he is still all this podcast player of the season, as long as he keeps watching. Aidan Francis-Clarke on the left-hand side isn't really his natural side, is it, on that side of the defence? And I think he's struggling there in the last couple of games. And probably you could argue, again, in midfield, we just didn't really establish ourselves, did we? We sort of miss a figure there that's really running about covering those yards. But overall, I did think we were probably deserved a point based upon just those couple of chances we had in the first half, at least.
Trouble is, once we conceded, we're never going to get anything. That's 6 games in a row we haven't scored against them. So once we gifted them one, that was it. The goal, it was down to the modern game. The left back, instead of clearing his lines, puts it to a centre half. He's got 2 players coming on at him. It's a ridiculous thing to do. The ball bobbles. Joe's put in a bad position. Flavia gives the ball away. They get goal. Good save by Michael Johnson. And then, what's his name? Blair nods in the rebound. It wouldn't have happened years ago because either left back or centre half, they would have wedded it. They wouldn't have tried playing their way out of trouble. And every club does it this season, and every club is going to be costing goals from it. They never seem to learn. That's not the players' fault. They're told to play that way. Yeah, I'll go along with it. We did have other chances. I thought actually Michael Johnson was probably in the end busier than the 2 keepers. At the other end of the peak, Jack Sims, he did have a few saves to make here and there. And it could have gone either way, couldn't it? But I think possibly a draw might have been fair in the end. But 1 goal for them. They shut up shop. Lee's dead right. They're nasty and ugly at the back. The captain got no time for at all, his attitude. But he's difficult to beat. And that's it. And that's the way they play. And they get results. And look at them now with Chelmsford losing on Easter Monday. They've even got a chance of finishing second in the table. It should be incredible for a club like that.
It would be an absolute travesty if that happens, by the way. In the good name of football, I think, no one wants to see that. What I would say, Tavs, is that don't forget a second half as well. We had a really good shot for a penalty, handball. I can't remember who hit it. It hit the defender's arm and it was going in, and okay, there's the argument of intent there. I thought the ref lost his way a little bit, but I don't want to use him as an excuse as into why we lost. I think we've got some amazing players. I just don't think it's all clicking at the minute. And if you look back to maybe a month or so ago when we had the Torquay match and the way we were playing and attacking teams, that fluidity isn't quite there. That connection isn't quite there. It's just not happening for us. The application is there, but I just think a few key players, as I've said, they've just gone off the boil at the wrong time when we need them the most. And if I'm looking at the fixtures, fellas, we've got to win out. If I'm looking at the table now, I do believe we've got to win out to get anywhere with even a chance of the playoffs now.
Right. Did Jon Meakes pick the wrong team? Did he make mistakes? Because Jake Berger, you mentioned players off form there. Jake Berger's one in particular. I felt he really needed to be rested. He went out there and he had an awful game. He had a terrible time. And they left him on till 88 minutes. They should have got him off at half time at the latest, just to put him out of his misery and bring him back in a couple of games' time. And I felt that cost us. We had a lost position there. Dom Hutchinson, I know I mentioned it last week, he's not producing. He's getting in positions, but he's not producing. And that put us under pressure. Also, Dan Bowery down the right. No problem Dan being somewhere in the team. But Jack James, I think, would have given us a better supply down the right there. And I thought that was a mistake, leaving him on the bench. When you come to the substitutions, doing them 88, 89 minutes, it stinks of desperation. You've lost all hope. You bring on Haroon Hamid, you stick him in the centre. Why? He's a wide player. What we've seen so far seems to be his best positions. Those substitutions, they just smacked of desperation. And by then, the game had gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think those late substitutions, it's the same at Abley, just not working, are they, for me, at the minute, the really late ones? If you're losing, you've got to try and gamble. I think, Mitch was forced off with an injury at half-time. I thought Roby Akinola probably wasn't the correct change, really, on reflection. And it really, again, was it his natural position he came on into there? Probably not. And they say Harron, I know he's away on international duty with Pakistan last week, but, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, get him in the team earlier. Give him the chance to run at defenders. Give other players a chance to have an impact on the game. It's too late, unfortunately, bringing on at the stage that we did. And, if you've got players on the bench, try and use them. You are chasing the game. Braintree, they're a good, very good side, it has to be said, annoyingly. And they're a sort of team that will probably, if they play like they do, could have a good chance of winning the playoffs. But, their legs are tiring. Get players to run at them. Get them on the pitch. And unfortunately, it just didn't work, did it?
You two mentioned Zane Banton last week, either playing him at all or changing his position. Do you think John put him in the right position Saturday?
I'm not sure he's been in the right position for a few weeks. I don't know what you think, Lee.
I think we're trying to force players into the side. You're looking at the balance of the side, aren't you? And I think the Zane, for me, is where you talk about players who are off form. Gio Rizzulo has been off form for a few games now. And I think that he's been really good for us overall. I think Zane needs to be a bit more influential in where he plays. You touched about Bowery playing. I could see probably why, given the fact that Braintree offer a great threat from set pieces and their height, and I can see the counterbalance in that. Again, you've got to look at our strengths, and Jack James would have done that position a little bit more justice, I think. But again, look, we're scrutinising something because we've lost. If any of those chances go in and we get something from the game, or God forbid we even win it, we're not really going as deep into those sort of levels of conversations. But you've got to look at it, Taz, because ultimately, the players aren't performing and something isn't quite clicking as it should do, as we know it can do. I've got to say, the substitutions, Meakes has got that wrong. Absolutely. There's no point. If you're not going to bring them on with sort of quarter of an hour to go, to give them some sort of run to make an impact in the side, don't bring them on with 2 minutes to go. It makes no sense, unless, of course, there's injuries. But look, it was just frustrating beyond hell because it was another massive crowd at the park. And how many times have we said that this season where we get a good crowd in and the boys just fail to deliver?
Yeah, it's our fifth highest home gate in National League South, 2,401 of the Chicken George fanatics, £1 entry, which is great. But at times it got so quiet down there. People could sense it was drifting away. But other times when we did have a good moment. Place rocks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to be fair, I thought that the atmosphere was actually the better it's been on Friday for quite a few weeks, especially if compared to Truro, which was definitely. I don't think there was an atmosphere to describe there for that game, was there? So, but the fans have been trying. But let's be honest, the football on the pitch, from the Saints' perspective, hasn't exactly been inspiring the last 2 weeks, at least, has it? Really, unfortunately.
No. And we paid for it. And Shaun Jeffers didn't get a goal. This is a rare event, isn't it? Come on to him in his way form in a minute, which is pretty fantastic. Right, anything else to add to last Friday?
No. It was painful enough as it is, mate, to be honest with you.
It's, I suppose, two other things. Maybe Dave, you've mentioned it before. Is the pitch is not the best to play on it, is it? There's a lot of bobbles, a lot of loose touches. And it's quite worrying that a lot of our games left, well, I say a lot, are all at home. I would rather they're away, to be honest, the way it's going at the minute. But that's just me.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jake, because before the game, I walked along the Hatfield Road terrace and I looked up the pitch, and the right-hand side in particular looked very bubbly going up there. And I said to one of the players, I said, that pitch looks a bit rough, uneven over there. And the player said it has been for weeks. Well, but that's not criticising the people doing the pitch, because Clarence Park has been bubbly for years. It really has. And I don't know, it needs something that heavy rolling over it, knocky or something. But it needs to get rid of these bobbles, because maybe it did cost us a goal. Would Joe have cleared it had it not bobbled badly when the bad pass came back to him? Who knows?
Anyway,
anyway.
I think you're scraping the barrel there, buddy. You're gone.
Yeah. Well, we went onto a carpet on Monday, didn't we? The plastic pitch at Arbour Park, the home of Slough Town. They went into the game, 20 matches unbeaten at home. They just made it to 21. What an intriguing game. We were dreadful for certainly 20 odd minutes, maybe first 45 minutes. In the second half, when Shaun scored a penalty in added time, I thought we're going to go on and win this. But instead, Michael Johnson made two fantastic saves. Somebody else missed an open goal for them. A bizarre game. It was going to go first on that, Jake, I suppose, because you were there.
A silly football club we have here. Why do we bother? Honestly, it is just the nerves and anxiety they put you through and all the troubles. It's, yeah, as you say, first 20 minutes on Monday, 25 minutes is, I think, probably the worst I've seen us play maybe this season, if not maybe not quite as far as that. Probably Braintree away on that godforsaken Tuesday night is probably just as bad. But it really was quite dreadful. We just couldn't get ourselves into the game. Formation looked all wrong. Team looked all wrong. And then, as we said, after that 20 minutes or so, I think luckily for the Saints, really, the referee started to come into the attention of the away fans, it's fair to say, with a few decisions that we quite agreed with, and a few little bits and pieces. And then, yeah, second half. Again, it wasn't exactly a memorable Saints performance second half, was it? It wasn't like we were knocking at the door. But I think the introduction of Ryan Blackman to the team from the bench, I think really changed it, didn't we? We saw Jake Berger coming at half time. I didn't think he particularly added much, but it was really on Ryan Blackman and his change. And he might not be the perfect midfielder, but what he did was every time he looked forward, I thought, with the pass on Monday, even if it's aerial, whatever it was, he was looking forward and he's trying to get the team going. And he showed that probably a little bit of fight in that centre that I think we've discussed recently that maybe hasn't been there. So I thought it was really the Ryan Blackman turnaround in the end.
Well, wasn't it Ryan's cross that led to our first goal? And Mitch claims one of his follicles actually touched the ball. Not many people agree. And the ball went in, keep pushing on the post, the ball went in. You're behind the goal. Do you think Mitch got a touch on that, Jake?
Initially, right at the time, I thought, right, Mitch has got a flick on. But watching it again and watching the reaction of both the players on the highlights, I do wonder if it's actually just gone all the way through from Ryan's boot and the keeper was just outwitted. It was so quick. At the time, I thought it was Mitch's, but now I'm having a few doubts. So, I'll be happy to give it to Ryan.
I wanted to ask him after the game, but he's still quick at getting down the tunnel if he can. So I asked Joe, and he didn't think Mitch actually touched it. But hey ho, there we go. What about the penalty? Well, no, let's go earlier in the game. First minute, we're all looking forward to seeing Johnny Goddard play. We're not looking forward to seeing him score inside a minute, are we? That's not what we went there for.
No, it wasn't the greatest defending again, was it? Let's be honest at the back. Unfortunately.
I haven't seen the main highlights yet, but the second goal, a couple of ricochets there, and then neatly tucked away. But suggestion of offside, is that what the main highlights suggest?
It's
Well,
too hard to say. I think the second goal was just so unfortunate with the ricochet that came off, one or two bodies at least. There's almost nothing you could do about that. But it has to be said, at that point, it looked like we were sinking without a stone, didn't it?
mm.
We were just absolutely going nowhere. And then Slough probably, that first half after that second goal, they probably didn't quite carry on as they maybe had in the first 20 minutes. Maybe that's sort of what helped stop the rot potentially.
What does sinking without a stone mean, Jake?
Sinking like a stone.
Okay, just wondered. Yeah, but then to come back, a great City comeback in one of the several downpours. Oh, it's just started raining here as well. We got a bit wet at times on the side touchline yesterday. The penalty. Now, I've sent you my video, Jake, but to me, the defender got the ball. It was not a penalty. Your view?
I think it is a penalty, and I know we disagreed about this, but on the highlights, unfortunately, it's inconclusive, really, because I think there's a defender in front of it. I thought it was, but the referee didn't really have many qualms, did he? He seemed to be happy with the decision. And I didn't expect to see Dan Barry winning a penalty in the 90th minute.
By foul means or fair. No, the referee was right on top of it. He had a clear view of it. How he get it wrong, I don't know, but he did.
Meanwhile, how many yards away?
Would you like to have taken that penalty? It was such a long delay. And then when Shaun's about to take it, referee said, no, hang on, we'll move it half a centimetre to the right. Oh, I would not have wanted to take that, but he kept his head cool and he got his 25th league goal of the season. Some sites may say 26, but he only scored one at Weymouth. The first goal down there was an own goal. I think Steve Clark's still trying to claim it, not just Shaun. But anyway, yeah. And also it's his 7th successive away game he scored. I think it's 12 of the last 13 away league games. It's a phenomenal record.
He's decent, that. I mean, I don't know if that David Noble bloke should take any hints from given the reports from Wildstone recently as well about strikers not playing. But yeah, Shaun, unbelievable. And I say the pressure on that penalty as well. And the referee messing about. I mean, that referee is probably my least favourite referee of the season. I thought he was absolutely dreadful. And messing about with a penalty like he was when it looked to be perfectly fine on the spot. But fair play to Shaun. And Dan Lincoln as well in the goal. He was all the way on the side that Shaun was stuck it into. And he just absolutely fell for Shaun's mind games. Absolutely perfect.
You texted me last night, yeah, comment about the referee. Had him before? He's stuck in your memory?
Is he? When did we last have him?
Well, you mentioned it. It was the Hemel Hempstead game when he sent off Shaun Jeffers, when he got conned by Hemel into sending Shaun off. It's the 5th time we've had him. First 3 games, nothing in particular. Since then, he had 5 hours in the book against Hemel, 5 again yesterday. I don't think he likes us.
It must have been something we said.
And also yesterday, 4 of the bookings were for dissent, one including Harry Wheeler, the coach, of course, not one of the players. And when you get 4 booked for dissent, there's something wrong there somewhere. But we don't get many bookings for dissent. And but he riled them yesterday. And he's from Colchester, which probably explains it. How did you follow the game, Lee? Because I think you're either Wembley Woolhams or Waitrose, one or the other.
Woolhams or Waitrose. I started to follow it on Twitter, and then that just got excruciating, so I gave up on that. And then I decided to listen to it on the wireless. And then obviously followed up with your very sort of grainy Blair Witch-esque sort of videos coming through at the end of the day there, Tabs, complete with moaning Tim Petty commentary as well. But is there any other kind, to be honest with you? Evening, Tim. And then sort of, yeah, it was just, I look back at these sort of games and think, what if? And I think we've just given ourselves far too much to sort of do. When you make the sort of mistakes that we're making so early on in the game, we're always playing catch up. And we've given credit to this fantastic team for their character and their inner strength. But we need to help ourselves out in the process as well, right? I love the fact that we fought back. I love the fact that Jeffers gave their keeper a little bit of his own sort of mind medicine, if you like. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's a point, but Tavs, you said it at the top of the show, mate. 1 point out of 4 for this Easter. Not good enough. Not good enough because it promised so much a few months ago. I think we were having a little bit of a post-mortem after the Braintree game in the pub, Jake, along with a few of the other lads, and it was frustrating, these sorts of games. But you've got to look back about how we conducted ourselves in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And although, it's not, we can only sort of change things what are happening now, but still, the fact that Jeffers didn't sort of play, the fact that, the manner in which we conducted ourselves, it was just shocking, mate. And that game yesterday, it was the epitome. We just gave ourselves too much of an uphill struggle. And I think we will look back at massive regrets this Easter about the points we've dropped, in our playoff push, mate.
I think Jon Meakes mentioned also it's the worst performance of the season, certainly during his time, that first half yesterday. So no one's hiding behind it at all. You're at 1 point from 2 games. If you look at current form of just the last 4 games, then you've got Taunton have lost 4 on the trot, and you get ourselves and some team, Vauxhall Rose, their football club there, both got 1 point from the last 4 games. Talking of which, their game on Monday, Lee Hansen and Ian Hansen was spotted amongst the crowd. Read into that whatever you wish.
What are we reading into that, Tabs? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't got a clue. They were looking for somewhere to go. No, it was on Good Friday. It wasn't on Monday. It was on Good Friday.
Dylan Berry was at Clarence Park on Good Friday as well. So the Henson gang were everywhere to be seen.
All right. Was Mabel there?
No, I didn't see Mabel, who I think is your favourite animal ever. God.
Right, Lee, you're following it on Twitter, that game. What has happened to our Twitter? Our media, I'm sorry, it's going down the pan at the moment. The Twitter is a disgrace. Mitch didn't get mentioned for a goal. Unbelievable yesterday. Neither of our goal scorers were mentioned. I don't know about substitutions. The attendance not been mentioned last couple. Shaun scored a penalty. No mention we won a penalty beforehand on Twitter. It's awful. And the post-match interviews, I feel sorry for Jon because he does pretty decent replies. But the questions he's getting asked, they're incoherent. And club's got up its game on that side at the moment. It doesn't make the club look good. It's better than that. Comment if you wish.
It is, but it's only as good as the people behind the scenes. And I think I had a few mates who sort of pulled me up on this about my comments about the social media last week. People in the industry. It's a pretty thankless task, and you're not going to please everybody. And Twitter, in particular, or X as it is now known, it's very unforgiving when you're racing through as the game is unfolding. So it's not great. It's not great, and I will say this to anyone at the club: so it needs to improve. However, we don't know the situation behind it. They're often calling out for the volunteers, the resources, but it worked in the past, and I just think we need to be very careful of sort of criticising people too much. It's not great, and I think the club will address it in the summer. They have to address it in the summer. But what I would say is that it is your main output of information on a match day, and that is the quality that you're putting out. Questions do need to be asked, yes.
Even the bookings, they mentioned 1 out of the 5 bookings yesterday. It's embarrassing. It really is. Because in the things I do, you go back to check details, make sure you got it right. So Twitter's got it, and that first half of the season, it was okay. It was pretty good. So you go on to your away one because they're so bad. So I looked at Braintree and it said Joe Partington got booked along with Ryan Blackman on Friday, and I asked Joe yesterday. He said he didn't think he did. So Twitter everywhere. It's not exactly brilliant at the moment in our league. Anyway, right, that's that.
One more thing I want to mention about Slough, similar to Braintree, I thought they were very good at the old dark arts. I thought Slough, and the time wasting and the diving, and their 16. Adrian Hooper, long-time City fan, said to the 16 just before half time, if you want Shaun Jeffers' shirt, which you've been grabbing all game, let us know and we'll get it signed for you after the game. Which I think really summed it up. The 16 was absolutely, and then Scott Davies, their manager, who has to be said, came into the team yesterday, did a good job at the back in a role that he probably isn't the most natural to. He was laughing and enjoying it when his keeper Dan Lincoln appeared to go down for catching a cross with no one within 10 meters of him, and Scott Davies just turned around and started smiling at us and just laughing while he pointing to his shoulder. So, is what it is. But like Braintree, they were very, very good at that. And unfortunately, the referee and the officials, I think, didn't quite grasp onto it.
So, talking of the goalkeepers, Jake, on Friday, you may remember when Shaun went in on Jack Sims, the Braintree keeper. And straight away, the Braintree players, particularly the captain, straight on to Shaun, trying to get him sent off by the referee, And then I filmed it from the side, and you can see what's happened. Sims had come out with his knee up. He was going to hit whoever was coming on. Because his foot wasn't out, he was never going to get pulled up. And he hit Jeffers in the end. It wasn't the other way round. And for him to go down having treatment was a joke. Shaun came off second best out of that. Quite an innocent challenge. Clubs, no. They're trying to get Jeffers sent off. We've said it before. And they're all trying to do it because stop him and you've almost stopped us from scoring.
Yeah, they've been targeting him. And what's been noticeable actually is, like you said, also the verbals and the absolute screaming and Shaun Jeffers screaming in the referee's face, honestly. Quite a lot of the opposition have been lately. And it just seems to be going unpunished totally, doesn't it? And the referees, unfortunately, just aren't doing anything about it. But it's not stopping us from winning these games, but it's definitely a tactic that is working quite a bit.
I'll tell you what I loved about that as well, that when he's sort of standing over Shaun, just sort of, effing and jeffing, I'm pretty sure there were some vowels in there as well, to be fair. Gio Rasulo absolutely pegged it from about 20 yards away, and he come into and he stood over Shaun Jeffers and he pushed the fella back, and it was absolutely, that's what you want. You want that little bit of sort of like team spirit. You want to have someone's back in that sort of situation. Going back a little bit, if I may, we were sort of pretty much in front of it, Jake. And the keeper is always going to go up and sort of, legs and knees and elbows sort of protect himself. I don't see in any way, shape or form Shaun gets there before or even arrives at the same time as the keeper. And I don't know, it was just, I thought Shaun was a bit late, if I'm honest, to that party. I think he rolled around and he played it a little bit to sort of make sure that the referee didn't get his cards out a little bit willy-nilly. But I like the fact, listen, you've got to go for the ball.
I agree there, Lee. I think Shaun stayed down to avoid a card. A bit like Bob Dowie at Telford, wasn't it, in 93? Well, no, 92. October 92.
Memories.
Any concern about our discipline at the moment? Under Jon Meakes, we're averaging 2.25 a game. Under Nobby, it was 1.8. And under Ian Anderson, it's 1.42 a game. Any concerns? Dissent and whatnot, no?
Not too worried. More concerned about the defence than concerned that they actually defend instead of picking up yellows. But no, it's not. Until we start getting a lot of players, well, a couple of players sent off, it's not a major concern at the minute. But again, it's just, teams are clearly cottoning on as to how they can try and wind us up and get at us and cause aggro and, just be physical with us. And it is working, unfortunately, at the minute. And we have to find a way to get past that.
Lee, you mentioned we've got a run of home games coming up. I've got 3 on the trot now to take out the County Cup final, 3 league games at home. Is that in our advantage? Already we've lost 9 times at home. It's a terrible home record this season. If we lose 10, I think it's the first time in a non-relegation season for, 15, 16 years.
Wow.
Does it work in our favour? With big crowds behind us, teams don't seem intimidated when they come to the park.
I'm not entirely sure it is to an advantage, Tavs. If you look at the way, I don't know what it is. We just seem to be a bit more productive away from home. We're playing on a lot more 4G pitches now as well, and we're winning those battles. You look at the way we played at Maidstone. These big sides who like to play football. When we went to Torquay, we're still equally probably our best performance of the season. Earlier on, we're just being at home just isn't that assurance that it once was. I think, is it because we build them up too much? Is it because they put in some decent performances and we're just so expectant at home? I don't know. It's a really weird thing to put on. I was talking to another diehard fan, Matt Farmer, at half time of the Braintree game, and there was a chance for Dom Hutchinson in the first half where it was a throw-on goal, and he didn't have the confidence. He just didn't look as though he was going to be scoring at any point in that game. And is it because we're playing at home? Is it just the way players are playing out position? Or I don't know what it is, but being at home isn't the given now. And it concerns me because we are going to have to win out, especially with the teams that we're playing, fellow playoff contenders. I don't know, Tabs. I mean, listen, you'd like to think that we can beat teams on our day anywhere. But I think there is a struggle at the minute at Clarence Park, and I just can't put my finger on it.
What about you, Jake? 3 home games. Do you see 9 points in the bag already?
Next comment or next question, Your Honour. Really not sure about it. But I couldn't tell you why. And to be honest, it feels like a long time since Clarence Park has been a fortress, to use that awful phrase. It does feel like a long time since teams have not feared to come to Clarence Park, but when you go to Clarence Park, you think, right, Saints going to be on top here. Has been a long time, not just this season. I think it's been multiple seasons, really, if we're honest. And yeah, I don't know what it is. Is it the pitch? I don't know what else it could be. It's such a wide pitch. There's plenty of room for our style of football. The lads should be comfortable. It's one of those unexplainables, isn't it? It's one of those things that is it just a quirk of the stats somehow or whatever? I don't think we'll ever understand why. But I do worry. I think, like Lee says, I don't think we can really afford to drop a point now, can we? The rest of this season, unless results go our way potentially. I thought Monday's draw, even though not ideal, and it's only 1 point over the weekend. In the way it came was actually a point gained, and maybe it's something we can use to motivate ourselves for these final few games. But unfortunately, we can't really afford to draw on Saturday against Chippenham. We've got to win with the way it's going at the minute. And you just hope the lads go out there confident, brave. But can they do that at Clarence Park? I really, really, really hope so. But I don't know why we're like this at Clarence Park. I'd love someone to explain, someone actually that knows football, unlike us, would be able to explain it. But I'm not sure anyone can.
We had a good win at Chippenham earlier in the season, of course, but it's a club we've not got a great record against at all. I think we've won 2 of the last 10. That said, we are unbeaten in the last 4 against them at Clarence Park, so we can build on that. As for them, they had a disappointing draw, I think, with Truro, wasn't it, over the weekend? Before that, 4 on the trot, including wins against Yeovil and Worthing, which suggests there's a bit of quality in there. And of course, now, we were streets ahead of them a while ago. We're now only 1 place above them in the table. All right, I've got a few points ahead of them, but a bit tighter than we expected.
Yeah, I say they've been in decent form lately. And as that run of results almost felt like it was a team that was maybe playing without pressure, sort of just thinking, right, we're in a good position now. We're not going to go down. We probably won't reach the playoffs, but let's just go for it and beat, some teams, good teams in this league. And it's going to be difficult. That game at Chippenham earlier this season wasn't exactly the most memorable, was it? Apart from Alex Morrell's stunner. It's going to be difficult. But Chippenham, they're a decent footballing side, actually. It could be another entertaining one on Saturday at Clarence Park. It's just, I think we need fighters out there on Saturday. We need people battling, willing to do the hard yards and put in the challenges, the difficult bits and pieces that you don't always want to. Last couple of teams we've come up against, they've played ugly at times, but that ugliness has led to success. Even if we have to just go out there and win your battles and do the basics. Don't play like we did for Slough for 25 minutes when we looked like we couldn't win anything at all. Win your battles, do your job, and we might get over the line on Saturday, hopefully.
Well, Ryan Blackman's received quite a bit of praise for his performance in the last half hour at Arbour Park. Does he now deserve a recall? And also, do you throw in a wild card like Benji Mensah, or IQ as his nickname is? Do you stick him out on the wing as well? Something different, which Chippenham won't know anything about.
I would have him ahead of Dom Hutchinson in that wing-back position myself on Saturday. And I say Ryan Blackman, I think he's got to come in. Otherwise, I don't know if there are any other main changes you can make to the team. Probably Jake Burgess probably doesn't really deserve a recall, does he, to starting 11?
Sam Brown's disappeared. Not available. Just not available. No reason given. Hope it's nothing.
He's doing the Twitter.
I think Sam Brown is missed actually on that left hand side as an option there. That's why Aiden's being forced to play then. Why Aiden's probably struggling on the unnatural side. Apart from and Michael Clark's out, isn't he, for the rest of the season with an injury? So suddenly those options at the back, there's not many changes we can make, is there?
No. How about next Tuesday? Should we go for some Cup glory? We're up to Topfield, home of Hitchin Town, to play Berkhamsted in the final of the Hearts Senior Cup. Our 24th appearance, I think it is somewhere. It's somewhere, it's gone now. Professionalism to the last. A big cup tie. Could go either way. Well, Berkhamsted are sinking without trace this season, bottom of the table. 17 points from 26 games, I think, in the Southern League Central Division. No easy games in football. We've had 3 so far in the Arts Charity Cup, Arts Senior Cup, haven't we? Is this another one?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Berkhamsted bottom, obviously coached by former Saints legend Darren Lock. Am I right in thinking that the younger versions of Meakes and Austin are still rattling around the Berkhamsted ranks? Or but either way,
at their last. Sorry, Blair. I looked at their last couple of lineups. No sign of them there. But,
okay, it's fine. But I mean, to be fair, you might want to get them back because the players that are turning out for Burko aren't exactly sort of cutting the mustard. But I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us there. To get back to winning ways and just to get that sort of feel good factor, a little bit of silverware, and it might not mean a lot to some, but it means a lot to a few of us.
It don't mean much to the club, does it? Have they skipped over it with the last 2 post-match interviews? Suddenly been actively mentioned that. It's not in the programme on the list of results and fixtures, not in there. Barely gets a mention on the website. Club don't give us a damn about it, do they?
But you know what though, mate? All of those people that do make those admissions, you can bet your bollocks, mate, that they'll be there on the terraces cheering on the Saints next Tuesday. You want to see it matter then. What I would say is this, right? It's going to be a game, isn't it? It's going to be a game, and we should win. We should win, but ultimately we have to earn that right. And people can be saying, "Oh, it's disappointing the playoffs." Yes, and that is going to be our main focus. Of course, it is. I'll tell you what, a little bit of silverware, a little bit of victory, just to get your hands around a cup. We haven't had many sort of chances, have we, Tavs? Just to have a little bit of county glory over the past few years, mate. So. Get down to Topfield. It's a nice little ground, and hopefully we can come away victorious as well.
19 years since we last won it. Beat Bournemouth in the final 2-1 at Letchworth County Ground. In the Woodside that day, here's some names for you. Some City old boys: Noah Limber, Leon Townley, much missed Ryan Moran, and Spencer Knight. He only lasted 10 minutes before we managed to get him out of the action. Substitute goalkeeper then was Kenny Adai, the City team. Bastock, CB, Cousins, Rodis, Martin, that'd be Ben. Elphick, Davis, no surprises, he got our only booking of the day. Marwa, Ibby, Clark of the Lee variety, and Hand. The only sub used was Tomlin, and the goal scorers, Kezi Ibby and Lee Clark.
What a team. That was a team. That was a fantastic team, yeah. But you know what? We've had 19 years is too long for a club of our stature just to ignore stuff like this. If it means something to the fans, then it should mean something to the club. And I think that is the mindset that we have to sort of go into next week.
First time we won the cup was in 1924-25. We beat Leavesden Mental Hospital at Underhill. That is the winner's medal from the competition. Whoops, I nearly dropped it. It's an engraving on the back. I don't know if you can read that or not. Do you remember last week? I showed you that photo from the 1893 final. Well, we got better now this time. Let's see a winner's medal from it. This belonged to St Albans captain, not St Albans City, St Albans captain, Jack Dickerson, who was a goalkeeper, then became a referee and refereed in 1911, I think it was, Amateur Cup final. And was a school teacher in St Albans. There you go.
That's a brilliant. That's a great stat.
And David Tavener was at both games. If you're looking at the Burko team, I mean, they were relegated over the weekend, weren't they? They officially confirmed the relegation. So really, this is probably their last game, really. Well, the game they'll want to focus, won't they, on the run-in? I think they lost to Hitchin as well, didn't they, yesterday? But if you look at the team, there's one or two familiar names. Olu Lawal on the bench yesterday. So he obviously won't be able to feature against us. And also, in starting 11, number 10, Toomey. Is that Lewis Toomey?
No,
No, is it not, Dave?
no, it's Connor Toomey. You look at the photo; they look pretty much the same. So it's obviously his brother.
But there's a few names in that squad, so it's not going to be easy. But like Lee says, we've got to go there, haven't we? Got to believe we can win. Got to win a bit of silverware. It'll be interesting to see what team we go out with. Obviously, we don't know what injuries, etc., will be like after Saturday's game. But yeah, squad selection will be, I think, one to watch.
Right. Well, we better have some predictions then. Chippenham, you're on screen there, Jake, on my phone. So what are you going for?
I really don't want to, because at this point it feels pointless doing it. 1-0 Saints, scrappy. It'll do. Keep us alive for another week.
You got it right at Slough, by the way. And what about Burke Hampstead?
Burko, 4-1 Saints.
Lee, 2 wins for Jake there. Can you match that?
We got an email straight after the game at Braintree.
Yes, literally straight after.
I mean, we hadn't even sipped our first mouthful of ale. We got an email criticising our rambunctious, carefree attitude towards our predictions. So, I mean, I don't know what people think we have any sort of knowledge about football in order to make these predictions off in the first place. So, what are we going to go for, David? I'm going to tell you this, mate. I think we're going to beat Chippenham. I think it's going to be 2-0. And then I think we're going to make an absolute rip-roaring success of the cup. I reckon it could be anything up to sort of 4-5-0. I'm going to go for 5-0.
5-0. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Mate, they are atrocious. They are atrocious.
They're going to stick... Now they'll watch this. They're going to pin a photo of Lee Wood in the dressing room for the game. They are atrocious in quotes.
One thing I would say about the Chippenham game, it's going to be our community day, I'm led to believe. Where is that right, or have I made that up? No, it's right, isn't it? Yeah, it's our community day. So
what's that mean?
It means that I think kids get in for cheap, free, or £1 or something, and
it's all to do with City Youth as well, isn't it? Sort of
it's
inviting the City Youth squads along.
We are raising money and supporting in aid of Youth Talk, which is a fantastic local foundation. So get behind that. So I think come down to the park. Don't let us put you off in terms of our words of doom. It will get better. Come down, support the club, support Youth Talk, support City Youth. And obviously, if you go up to Matt Bigg, who's in charge of the media now, and say, Podful of Saints, he gives you a £5, which is like a new initiative. So he doesn't really, don't worry. He's not that rich.
And our version of the community day is there's 2 international groups of supporters coming down on Saturday. So if you want to meet some well-refreshed Norwegians and Germans, do come say hello to them. I think there's 4 or 5 from each, about 8, 9, 10 of them coming down, and they'll be there supporting the Saints as well. Mm-hmm. And you have to say, it pales into significance, doesn't it, when we complain about having to walk to the ground for 20 minutes to watch us lose 2-1, when they fly over from Norway and Germany to watch us lose 2-1. So great to see them back down, and hopefully they get a winning result on Saturday, which should be brilliant.
Well, I haven't done a prediction yet, but Chippenham, despite their current good run, they do blow hot or cold. And I fancy them blowing cold on Saturday, so I'm going to go for a 5-1 City win. Bumptious result. Burke Hampstead.
5-1 City win.
It'd be a training game, was it? We'll probably declare, I don't know, 4-0.
So you're scoring 9 in the next 2.
Tabs, listen, mate, I like a drink in the afternoon as much as the next man, but I think I don't know what you've got in your cup there, buddy. I mean, this is super positive. I'm loving it.
Oh no, 5 and 4. That's our bookings. Sorry, I got that wrong there.
Dave's herbal tea was a bit more herbal than he realised.
God, have you ever had any of that rubbish? God, it's awful. One other thing, I don't want to go into it now because we're running a bit over time already, really. But in the future dates, of Company's House, you can look at this online. The club's results to the end of June last year published on there. They're interesting. There's not a profit and loss on there. As a small business, they don't have to declare it. It does fly in the face of the open and transparent comments one owner keeps making. But it's perfectly legal. I say we won't go into it now, but it's something at the end of the season we might look at there. And it's not a downer. It's just looking at what's in there and see what people think. There we go.
Jacob, tell the accountants and everyone else where they can get hold of us, please, my friend.
It's at Podful of Saints to Twitter. If you'd like to email us immediately after the game to complain or make comment about us or the Saints, the email description is in email address is in the description below, and you can also find us on Spotify if you want to as well. So, thank you very much. Go on, Dave. Go on.
I just want to say also, at half time yesterday at Slough, two supporters I hadn't met before had a very quick chat, and it wasn't the best time to meet me. We weren't playing exactly the beautiful game football.
Is there a best time to meet you, Tabs? Honestly,
in the dark, and I'd just like to say thanks. It was kind. They support the pod, and that was nice.
Perfect. Well,
excellent.
If anyone else wants to say hello today, please feel free to, especially when the Saints are attacking, so he misses the goals. So on that note, we will speak to you again next week once the Saints pick up 3 points and have their hands on the trophy. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Come on, you Saints.